All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is like as you're implementing this rev per visit system, what are some common pitfalls that we see owners making? And again, I'm going to assume that you're here. You want to help more people. You want to be consistent. You want to increase your revenue per visit, and you want to take care of your team in the end automatic. Um, that's my assumption. So again, what we're up against, healthcare system is backwards. We talked a lot about that. Here's the numbers that I mentioned earlier. 19%, one in every $5 in the US is going to healthcare. It's very ineffective. If you look at where the money's going, 2022, we spent, this is on retail prescription medication, doesn't include over the counter, over $600 billion. Per the AMA, roughly 25% of that is deemed unnecessary or unneeded. And so that ends up being about $150 billion on, we'll call it unnecessary medication, retail medication only. If you add up PT, OT, speech, chiropractic care, optometry, podiatry, dentistry combined, it's $117 billion market. So we're wasting more money on medications than we're spending on all of conservative care. That is wild, right? That is absolutely crazy. And yeah, you feel that the impact of this, it affects your finances with declining reimbursements. It affects your ability to, retain your staff members and attract new staff members. It affects your ability, to go into the marketplace, and there's intense competition, and it's tough to compete. The first thing that can happen, we can blame those external forces, right? I talked about, politicians, insurance companies, the government. We can blame all those forces, but it doesn't really solve our problem. And one of the most frustrating things that I've seen in like the private practice groups that I'm in is like that can become the game, right? Like we're all victims. Look at all these things that are happening to us, and there's nothing that can be done. And that's unfortunate because there's a better use of our energy. Yes, this is not good. This is not great. We should understand what's happening, why it's happening, the mechanism of what's happening, but that doesn't mean that we can't solve the problem, that we can't control something. It's good to know what's happening. It's great to know the rules of the game. It's best to know what we can control. And typically, this will sound like an excuse, right? There's nothing I can do. Inflation is killing us. I can't compete. Guilty is charged here. Again, I'm a private practice owner. I've been through this myself. And it's the one that, I mean, I really got stuck for about 2 years, 2008 through 2010, 2011. And this is exactly what I was doing. And I can see other owners doing the same thing as well. It's not solving the problem, though. The second big mistake that we can do is no audit, not looking. I know this to be true for me. Later on today, we're going to be talking about the profit leak audit process. For about 18 months, we had noticed within the practice that we were on this gradual decline around reimbursements. And we were looking at the metrics, evaluating all the metrics. And again, it was about 18 months. And I was working with my partner, Mike, and I said, hey, like, have we ever audited this? And he was like, well, we know the metrics. And I was like, no, I mean, like, look on a more granular level. And we went through this exercise, and it was extremely valuable to our practice to see what was happening on a granular level with our revenue, literally on like a per patient basis. So we're going to do a session on that later today. We're also going to have one, and by the way, that's with two other owners that have taken the same process. For Lance Gross with GTS in Arkansas, it was worth, he said on stage in Orlando at a breakthrough event, that was worth $1.3 million to his practice. Dave Bender heard that in Baltimore, Maryland with Peak Physical Therapy. He went and did the same thing, and that was worth over $100,000 to his practice. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be doing a session with both of them later on today. We're also going to have a session with Kelly Brown with Prediction Health, and they're basically doing massive audits using AI, which is really cool as well. The third big mistake that we see is like reinventing the wheel, right? And I get to work with owners. I really get to cheat, right? Because I get to see the best practices, and then I talk with other owners as well. So reinventing the wheel is, hey, I don't have any time. I know you have a system, but I'd rather figure out the system myself. Right. It's this why, and again, guilty as charged here. I know I've done this myself. Like, I don't want the shortcut. I'd rather figure this out on my own time. I know that I'm time starved, but I'll figure it out tomorrow, right? And we just procrastinate and procrastinate and never get it done. There's a lot to learn from others. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'll give you one example. I mentioned Tony Sear earlier. We gave this around at an event last year, the insurance reimbursement renegotiation workbook. Tony and his wife, Melissa, over the course of 2 years, went through all of their private payers, renegotiated rates. Their lowest payer, the one that they were struggling with the most, they end up getting 3 annual 10% increases in reimbursements, right? So we took the template, and by the way, Tony and his wife, Melissa, I asked them what they wanted for sharing this, and they said, we just want to help other practice owners. And, now we've been sharing this, mailing this out to other people as well, implementing it into our own practices. You don't have to reinvent that, right? You don't have to go through and reinvent 19 different processes for finance. You just need to learn it and then implement it into your own practice. Probably the same exact thing that you did clinically as well. Another one is we silo the systems, right? As clinicians, we understand this. We know that if we're working with somebody after a knee replacement and they have comorbidities, maybe affecting their digestive system or their neurological system, that is going to delay the healing of their knee, right? The musculoskeletal issue, right? So we very much understand that. But for some odd reason, when we get to thinking about our practice, it's okay, I have a financial problem, rep per visit, and that has nothing to do with my personnel systems or my marketing systems or my operations, right? We for some odd reason, we silo that out. That's a mistake, right? So if we have super high quality of care and we have unhealthy revenue, unhealthy financial systems, poor staff retention, poor personnel systems, inconsistent marketing, what does that equal? Right? Not a healthy individual, right? So take that anatomical analogy that we understand very much and start thinking about your private practice in the same way as a living organism with interacting systems. The fifth one is no prioritization. And I hear owners talking about this a lot. I want to work on my business. So we host events, right? Owners come in. We just had one here in May. We had owners come in and we're talking about processes and systems. And at the end of the 2 days, they have, 37 sheets of notes, and then they're going to go back on Monday and try to implement all of this. You can't really do that, right? So when you get time to work on your business, if you're able to section that out, the biggest thing is to be able to focus on, Warren Buffett said 5, and that's the 5-25 Warren Buffett rule. I've found that 1 or 2 is the best, right? And research says 3. If you go beyond 3, your focus is pretty fragmented. And just to revisit this, in the end, to build a revenue per visit system, here are the processes that we need in place. We need a process around audit. We have 2 sessions on that later today. Again, Kelly Brown with Prediction Health, and then Lance and Dave Bender are going to be on talking about the Profit Leak audit. The next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to plan ahead. We do that with something called the Profit Planner. It's a pro forma. The third thing that we want to do is we want to strategize. We've interviewed hundreds of therapists all over the US. Again, I get to cheat. I get to learn best practices through the podcast, through the courses that we're doing, through Breakthrough, and then assembling those how-tos, just like, one of those processes is renegotiating insurance rates that Tony and his wife, Melissa, shared. But turn that into a process that other owners can implement. Every practice is different though, right? We're all in different geographical areas. We all have different market conditions. We all have different populations of people that we're serving, different diagnoses that we specialize in, et cetera. Not what works for you in your practice in Kansas might not be what works for me in central Pennsylvania, right? And that might not be the same thing that you need in this quarter as you're going to need 3 years from now, right? So that's going to change over time as well. We have 12 strategies today that are we call them the 4 profit levers, and we'll talk about those in all the sessions that we have here today. We're going to have at least 1 session on each one. The next thing that you have to do is after you come up with the plan and the strategy, you have to implement it, right? Then you have to measure how well is it working, right? You have to be able to look at KPIs and metrics or results or statistics or whatever, however you measure, right? The numbers of your practice. And then we assess, right? And repeat the process. Again, this is almost what you're doing with a patient. They come in, you do some sort of audit, special testing, taking objective measures, look at the history to come up with a diagnosis of what's going on, right? You create a plan, a treatment plan that is based on different treatments. They're your treatment strategies, right? You implement them, you put them into action through the treatment plan. You then measure how that patient is doing. Are they getting better? Are they getting more range of motion? Are they getting strength? Is their pain decreasing? Do they have more function, right? And then you're assessing and repeating that process at least once a week or every time that they come in for care. So that's the idea in terms of what we need to do to improve rev per visit. Yeah, so question for you, what have you tried to improve your rev per visit? You can put that in the chat right now. Yeah, so we'll have a session on this later today with the Profit League audit. Profit Planner, we talked about this. AMA, so strategic billing, that's great. We have that as one of our profit levers, Jody, that's awesome. Kevin, email blast. Natalie, renegotiate. Chris, we've changed our coding. Finding more cash pay. Yep, that's part of everything that we have in there. Great. Adding laser, cash-based services, increasing cash pay, drop the provider. We put that under improving payer mix, attract more of higher payers, drop low payers, renegotiate rates. Great. All right. So we have a program where we walk through systematically, and we have a special announcement today, but we have a program where we walk through and help owners implement the profit leak audit, the profit planner, go through each of the 12 strategies, and then how to reassess and repeat that process. It's called Profitability Under Pressure. Consists of a 13-week masterclass. I'm in the middle of one right now, middle of a class with an awesome group of owners that are implementing. We go through how to increase revenue per visit, how to market for profit, how to systematically attract better paying patients, how to maximize utilization of space and personnel, which is really the game that most of us are in, is filling schedules and filling space first. And then once we do that and we've created enough demand for our services, then it gives us the flexibility to do some other things like dropping a low payer, a low cap payer, or going out and renegotiating rates and having a better negotiating foundation. I mentioned Tony and his wife, Melissa, before. They've had amazing growth. I know just from this story alone, and we need to update this to, I know Tony on the podcast shared his 2023 numbers, but they've more than tripled their practice. They have 3 locations now, and they added over $300,000 in cash-based services annually. So this program with Profitability Under Pressure is for practice owners who feel the pressure of shrinking margins and they want to increase the revenue per visit. You see the trends. Maybe you're doing well today, but you want to, head off the trends at the pass and prevent as much leakage as possible and continue to grow and thrive and help more people. You can commit to at least 1 hour per week. I'll up the ante there, up the bar. I would say 2 hours per week to work on your practice. You have a growth mindset and you're engaged. Adnan asked, do you have a peds therapy specific group? If you're a private practice owner, yes, we actually have 2 peds practices in the current group right now. Who this is not for, if you're a HOPS or POPS system, this is not for you. This is for private practice owners. If you're not fully committed, so if this is like a side hustle, not for you. Victim or know-it-all mindset, I'll leave it at that. Can't commit to investing time, money, energy into yourself. Yeah. In addition to the 13-week masterclass, you also get Breakthrough Pro. We're going to be talking about this today. This is the system that I use in our marketing for our 7 offices, 400 new patients per month. And it's how we track everything in one place. It's what we're doing for our text campaigns. It's what we're doing for our email campaigns. It's what we're doing for our cold traffic marketing as well. And you get that included. and includes pre-built campaigns. We'll look at that here later today. So not only the one-to-one communication, but also the one-to-many communication. And yeah, in the end, what that helps us do is consistently grow our practices. It all comes back to building this system. The other thing that I want to share is, this isn't this is something that you should be carrying through and doing at least every 90 days for your private practice journey. This isn't something that like you learn, you do it one time, and then you put it in a drawer. This is like a system to learn. I mean, the same exact thing that you're doing like with your eval process with a patient. Like this is it's a system that you're doing forever and ever and ever. Right. And your strategies are going to change and your plan's going to change. But yeah, we go through everything in that 13-week program, and you also get the same exact marketing software that I use in my practice. And our announcement is this: we have 30, thanks to our partners, many of whom you're going to be hearing from today. We have 30 early bird scholarships that this is the first time we're announcing it. I know we're going to email later this week, 6,000 practice owners, or early next week, I guess it is. But we have 30 early bird scholarships available today, right now, for owners that fit the criteria that we're talking about. You're in private practice, you want to improve your rev per visit, you want to improve your profitability, you're willing to put in to action, work on your practice at least 2 hours per week, and you have a growth mindset. So there's a short application. I'll show you here in a second, but you're going to go to getbreakthrough.com/apply, and it'll look like this. I'm going to exit out here and get there in a second. But yeah, so one of the quick wins, Mike Moravik, awesome owner who went through our last course, and this one even surprised me. So he was able to renegotiate an increase with United Healthcare from $65 to $80 a visit just by implementing exactly what was in the course. And I think he did that within 90 days of doing the course. So pretty cool there. Also, that link, the link to apply for the early bird scholarship is in the chat. It's getbreakthrough.com/apply. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like here. Yep. So when you go to that page, it's going to look like this. And we do have a guarantee. It's that you're going to increase your profitability by $10,000 within 90 days of completing your course, or your money back. You can go through, read other stories of owners just like you that went through the course and what it meant for their practice. Again, this is not just for the next quarter, for 2024. This is a system that you're going to repeat as part of your private practice journey. Continuously improve. Those small incremental changes that you can make in your rev per visit and your profitability mean a really big deal long term. It's the law of compounding. But you can go there, you're going to click on apply now, and then you're going to fill out the short application. And then after you fill out that short application, it's going to take you to this page where you're going to pick a time to schedule. Again, we're going to limit it to the first 30 for the early bird scholarships based on, again, the support of our partners. So make sure you thank them for that. And yeah, so apply now is going to take you to this. You can see it's very simple. First and last name, practice website, email address. We're going to make sure that you're a private practice, that you have an email address. You can fill this out in about 2 minutes. Click apply now. It'll take you to this page, which is the schedule. You're going to pick a time, click on one of these dates, click a 15-minute phone call with a member of my team. They're going to go through, make sure you're a private practice owner, and also review your application in terms of the scholarship deadline as well. We really want to make sure you're a private practice owner who's committed to changing your revenue per visit. And Lauren, I know we had some questions come in, and I think we have 3 or 4 minutes here for Q&A.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And just a quick note, instead of going to getbreakthrough.com/apply, if you guys actually want to head over to offer.getbreakthrough.com/apply pup right here on the screen in that QR code, if you are having any issues, then this URL will take you directly there as well. And of course, if you have any issues, just let us know. Um, all right, questions. And if you do have any questions about this or anything Chad has talked about, feel free to drop those in the chat or in the Q&A box. I know Colleen had a question. They ask, I'm a psychological testing group practice owner. Would this work for me or is this only for PTs?
Hey, Colleen, I want to say this. It would be so you can apply. Likely what's going to happen is you're going to end up talking with the Breakthrough CEO, Carl Mattiola. He's going to learn more about your situation. You'll talk with him directly. As of today, we have, and we get a lot of applications from people in behavioral sciences, et cetera, behavioral health. You can apply, but you're probably going to end up talking with him, and then he'll go through. Yeah, the principles are universal. Truth be told, most of these principles I've learned far outside of private practice PT and automotive repair and everything else. We just really take the principles, apply them in private practice, or we look for other best practices, private practice owners implementing. But yeah, he can talk with you more about that. But yeah, you're more than welcome to go through and apply, and just realize you're going to be talking with Carl, directly with Carl.
Awesome. All right, we have another quick question from Michael. They're asking is Breakthrough Pro software the same software used in the Growth X and Premium plan?
So Growth X and Premium, yes. Yeah. So if you're in Growth X, if you're in Premium already, yeah, that software is in. If you're in Premium, you should be talking with your coach about doing the course, because I mean we have a few Premium owners that are already doing advertising with us, that already have the software, and they're going through the course. And I, more than welcome that. Happy to teach. We help everything. We help with hiring. We help with all the processes and systems across the board.
Awesome. Earlier, Garrett asked how we can get access to the insurance reimbursement workbook. I can answer that one if you'd like. You can simply
We
email me.
include it in the course. I mean, everybody in the program, we mail it out to. And I know it's part of that, but yeah, you're more than happy to. Go ahead, Lauren.
Perfect. Yeah, you can go ahead and email me, Garrett, at lauren@getbreakthrough.com as well, and I can help connect you there. All right. This one, the first line says this may be too deep for this webinar. So I am going to read it and see what we get. So Larry is asking if we will be addressing how to analyze not just revenue per visit, but net profit per visit.
Yeah. So net profit per visit. You look at your revenue per visit, you minus your cost, and that's going to be your net profit per visit. Here's the, wow, how deep do I want to go on this one? I'll agree with your first sentence, Larry. I'll try to keep this short and simple. I do angel investing as well, right outside of private practice. I listen to pitches. I was just on one yesterday. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But almost never would I use a metric like revenue per visit. However, it's so heavily embedded in private practice that I mean, we'll look at it, but I would not think of it as a primary metric, right? What's more important is revenue per time period. We think of our cost per time period. So like if I was analyzing an outside company, the one yesterday hosted basically like wrestling events, like collegiate level wrestling events, right? So we would always include some time element in there when we're talking about revenue. We do that in costs. You're more than welcome to do that revenue, right? Most of us use revenue per visit as a proxy for our overall revenue. We know if we're averaging $90 per visit and we see 1,000 visits a month, we know roughly our guesstimate is that we're going to collect $90,000 in income. A better metric, especially when you get into cost, something to think about easier is, what are you doing per week or what are you doing per month in terms of income, expenses, and profit? Or if you're a CPA, revenue, costs, and margin, right? They're equivalent. But yeah, I would think about it like that. I don't have the game of trying to save a dollar is in expenses is a much harder game to play than increasing your revenue. Way easier to increase revenue. There's no ceiling on it, than it is to save your money, save costs into a prosperous situation. I see the error way too many times. We call it the business death spiral. Is if we start trying to cut in order to make it out the other side, it's way easier to focus on providing more value and increasing revenue.
Amazing. That looks like we're all caught up on our questions. If anyone else has a last minute question you'd like to get in, or something comes up later, just feel free to drop that in the chat or the Q&A. Otherwise, I do see Mary is here with us, so I can go ahead and bring her on. Oh, quick question. What is the name of the book?
Which book?
Follow-up question.
I mentioned quite a few. I mentioned Traction, Wickman, Scaling Up, Vern Harnish, the Insurance Reimbursement Renegotiation Workbook, which is emailing Lauren. I mentioned Greg Crabtree, Simple Numbers, Big Profits. Yeah, it's called the Insurance Reimbursement Renegotiation Workbook. There you go.
Wonderful. All right. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and bring Mary on, and we can start transitioning into our next session.
Wonderful.